minutes. Mr McMillan.
Okay, thank you very much, Presiding Officer. First of all, I welcome the Scottish Government reaffirming its commitment to tackling the twin crises of climate change and biodiversity loss, because all too often tackling climate change is seen as something governments can concern themselves with when things are all rosy, when the finances are in abundance and when life feels easy. However, we cannot afford to think like that, as the impact of the climate emergency is exacerbating existing inequalities for people all over the world, but especially for those who have not contributed to climate change. Now, Scotland has continually shown early and sustained leadership in meeting our climate responsibilities, as one of the first countries to declare a climate emergency and set an ambitious 2045 net zero target. We've already achieved the largest reduction in emissions of any nation in the UK, and statistics show that we're halfway to net zero and decarbonising faster than the EU 27 average. Electricity supply emissions have fallen by 88.1%, industrial emissions by 56.8%, and waste management emissions by 75.4% on the baseline. And Scotland has also created 63% of new woodland in the UK between 2022 and 2023, more than all the other UK nations combined. So while both Labour and the Tories are backtracking on serious climate policy and investment, jeopardising the just transition and the race to net zero, the Scottish Government is attracting international investment to grow the green economy and create skilled jobs. And two examples that the Minister referred to in opening comments earlier on were regarding to Sumitomo, to serve the offshore wind sector, creating around 330 jobs and bring £350 million of inward investment to Scotland, and also Haventus to regenerate Ardersier Port, which has the potential to create 3,000 jobs and reskilling opportunities. Now, these demonstrate the SNP government's ambition for Scotland's green economy, and in my Greenock and Inverclyde constituency, I joined the local bus company McGill's to celebrate their milestone of reaching 10 million zero-emission miles. Now, thanks to the continual investment by McGill's, their net zero fleet has now grown to over 110 electric buses, which have prevented 11,270 tonnes of carbon dioxide from entering the atmosphere. Sure.
The boy out briefly.
There is some fantastic work being done by bus companies. Lothian Buses in Edinburgh is doing similar work, but the key issue is we simply don't have enough bus services for people to use, and we've lost hundreds, and we're not seeing the work done in the 2019 Transport Act that would have improved the number of bus services we could have across the country.
McMillan.
I'm just about to come on to that particular point in terms of bus services, because this is where planning is really important. So the reduction, going back to the McGill's point, the reduction is equivalent to planting around 1.3 million trees across an area the size of 2,784 football pitches. Now, the Tories are treating net zero as a burden. Also, we know that Chris Skidmore, the former Energy Minister, is planning to actually vote against the Tories next week due to their abandoning of climate pledges and the dismissal of the economic opportunities of net zero. And Labour have abandoned their £28 billion green investment pledge. And this damaging decision to cut energy investment will destroy Scottish jobs and harm economic growth. Now, Presiding Officer, going on to the point about planning. Now, Transport Scotland briefing, which Monica Lennon actually touched upon, was actually very helpful. I'm going to quote one part from it, and that is, to reduce transport emissions, we must see a modal shift away from private car use. This is where planning is hugely important. So local authorities and the planning authorities, when it comes to housing applications, they need to fully consider those applications, including Inverclyde Council and the redevelopment of the former Inverkip power station site, which, sadly, if that goes ahead, that will rely solely on private car use. There will be no buses, there's no access to trains, only private car use, and that will destroy the economy in the western part of Inverclyde. So, Presiding Officer, I'm not going to stand here and take lessons from Labour and the Tories when it comes to climate. I truly believe Scotland could make an even greater contribution to global climate action if we were not reliant upon decisions made elsewhere. Thank you.